Y'all, we are almost there. We're almost to the end of the year. I know it may not feel quite like it yet, but if you're an elementary music teacher, yeah, we're pretty stinking close. Now, to be fair, my school does get out pretty early. We're done May 21st this year, which honestly for us is kind of late. So if you go, till the end of June, you got a little bit longer. But if you teach elementary music, you don't see your kids every day. And so honestly, there's not that much left. Quarter 4 is a wild time. We've got testing, we've got field trips, we've got field day, we have performances. There's so many things that get in the way of you teaching your kiddos concepts. So it's coming up quick. Yeah, it's terrifying. I looked at the calendar today and was like, whoa, that's a little bit scary. Exciting, but scary. So let's talk about things that you should do to prepare yourself for the end of the school year now, at the beginning of fourth quarter, or, before spring break, or right when you get back from spring break, whenever you're watching this. Let's talk about what you should do to prepare yourself. These are things I do every year, so it'll be a good reminder for me of things I need to do tomorrow. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Becca. I'm an elementary music teacher, and my goal with this channel is just to help you engage your students and make your life a little bit easier. And today we're talking about that with, how you need to prepare for the end. So let's talk. Number one is probably the most important, is right now, pull out your calendar, pull out your Google Calendar, whatever, and count how many more times you're going to see your students. I see my students typically once every 5 days. Yes, that should be a week, but depending on what's going on, if we have a 4-day week or something, it gets messed up. So I typically see my students once every 5 days. So essentially once a week. I counted it up this morning, the day that I'm filming this, and we have spring break next week. And when we get back, we have 6 weeks plus the last week of school, which is like 4 days. But we're not doing nothing the last week of school, so I'm not really counting that. So essentially 6 weeks or 6 rotations plus like a half a rotation that last week. So that's actually not that much time because I still have things that I want to cover with them. And here's the deal. The last couple of classes are basically nothing. The last week, we're just playing games. Like, let's be honest. The week before that, I'm going to want to review concepts. I usually do an end of the year test. So if I'm doing a test, I'll do the test. The week before that, I'll do reviews. That's already 3 weeks. That leaves me with only 3 to hit any concepts that I still need to hit and get things done. So right now, go ahead and count that out because it may seem like, oh my gosh, there's so much school left. But once you really start thinking about it and you start jotting down what you need to do, it's a little terrifying. So today I did this and I literally just made a spreadsheet, and not even a spreadsheet, on a piece of paper, and I just wrote out how every week, and then I just put jotted down notes. So in the last week I put games, and then the week before that, depending on different ones, 5th grade I do more game days, and so then I wrote in when their test was going to be and when we need to review. And by the time I put those things in, it got really small. And remember, things are going to mess this up. So right now I'm thinking I might have 6 rotations, but I also might not have 6 rotations because I know I have a field trip. We've got field day, we've got testing, and who knows what the schedule is going to be during that. And so there's so many things that go into all of that and change it and mess it up that it's not always realistic. So go ahead and count, and you might be, again, if your school goes longer than mine, you might be watching this now and have a little bit longer. That's good. More time to prepare yourself and get yourself planning. Okay. So number 1 is count those rotations. And number 2 is make sure you hit any of those big concepts. So as I was looking at the calendar and being oh my gosh, there's so much to do, I was oh no, my 2nd graders still haven't learned quarter rest, which I usually would have done months ago. I don't know. Sometimes it just happens. And we just finished up a concert. So there was that. And then we had, a big field trip we had to prepare for. And so there's always interruptions. It just happened. And I was well, we're going to be working on that next week because we need to make sure that we hit that. Any big concepts that need to happen really need to happen in April if you're getting out in May. If you're getting out in June, get the big concepts in by by May, the month before the school lets out, because you really need to just practice and then wrap it up and play games at the end of the year. So again, those 6 classes, they go fast. They go away very quickly. Number 3 is get some grades in. Y'all, with all those craziness, quarter four grades are sometimes really, really a mess. You know, you might have one group that you miss 3 times because of testing and because of field trips and stuff. And that might be the group that ends up with no grades. And that's not a very good look. So make sure you get your grades in for quarter four early. I'm trying to make sure that I hit something graded with every single class like the first 2 weeks after spring break. And then I have some that did get something done before spring break, so that way we're actually able to have legit grades in the grade book, because I do not believe in just throwing in participation grades for everyone, and you shouldn't either, but that's a story for another day. What I'm telling you now is go ahead and just get some grades. Listen, they don't have to be hard grades, okay? Have a group, play kaboom, stand there and listen to each one read a rhythm. Write down if they got it right. The end. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. You can make it really simple. You can have them writing rhythms on whiteboards or putting melodies on whiteboards, or, you know, one of my favorite things is throw something on the board and give like 2 answers and be like, all right, is it number 1 or is it number 2? And then all I have to do is look around and see if they're doing this or if they're doing this. And then I have my answer. I love this with solfege, especially. I have some like solfege, digital games I can link down below for you that you can do this with. And then like, yeah, Kaboom is a great one. Just things like that where they can like play a game, or they can do something simple. It could be something short. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be long, but just do something so that you get some kind of grades in and you know how people are doing. That being said, at the end of the year, well, really at the end of each unit, but at the end of the year especially, I do believe in giving actual tests. I give them actual paper and pencil tests where they have to write down the rhythms or the melodies or whatever it is that we are currently working on. So my second graders just took their So Me test like a couple weeks ago. They're about, when we finish with quarter rest, they'll have a quarter rest test at the end of the year. This might be something, you know, people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do a test. Like, y'all, give those children a test, because you have to make sure that they are actually learning. And even though, you know, most days we're playing games, we're doing this, we're doing that, I also want them to actually learn. And if you don't have the test, then you don't have something to actually learn. Plus, if your admin is coming for you, it's good to be able to show them your actual data. I've had twice that my principals have walked in while I was giving a test, and I'm like, oh, we're taking our end of year assessment. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so great. And I'm like, yeah, it's like 5 questions, but they don't need to know that. What they need to know is that I actually am holding them accountable for their learning. And then you can send it home also, which is nice, because even if it's the end of the year and it doesn't matter anymore, just parents seeing that like they're doing a something in school, like they're creating a something, they're writing rhythms, they're putting things on the staff, like that will impress them, and they will, we need to impress them, because we need them, we need to keep thinking we're important, right? So if you can send things home, then they're like, oh, hey, look, they do music. And you can be like, yeah, we do music. Haha, there we go. Anyway, so let's see. We had count your rotations, finish your big concepts, get some grades in. Number 4 is a little bit of a change of pace. I feel like those 3 went together. Number 4 is that you need to plan some testing activities, because soon there will be testing and it's a whole thing. So at my school, I typically help proctor the tests, which means that I am not teaching during like our big end of the year tests, and then I'm teaching in the afternoon on some sort of adjusted schedule. So depending on the year, it's been all sorts of different things. I don't know what it'll be this year. We'll find out soon. But what you need to do is have some ideas for after testing, especially if you're also proctoring, because I don't know about you, but it like, I know it's just like walking around in silence, but something about it is just draining and it is hard. So here's a couple of thoughts. I like to do things that are easy to implement, but are fun, maybe quiet, especially if like there's other ones. I have a video about quiet music lessons, so I'll leave those down below. And I also have a video that's more recent that I posted the other day that was like music lessons for when you just need a minute, when you're like, here, you go do things so I can get my life together. That would apply. So I will leave that link down below. But here's a couple of just really quick ones. Number 1, write the room is a great one. For this one, put flashcards around the room. The kids walk around the room and they copy it down, or they answer a question or whatever. So typically I'll do like with solfege, I'll put the notes on the staff and they have to write, you know, the letters or whatever. Or with rhythm, I might put the rhythms up and they copy them down. Or you can put the rhythms up and they can play them on instruments if you want to do that instead. But it's just like a really easy way for them to be writing things down and like answering questions, but it's fun for them because they get to move around, they get to do all the things, but you don't have to be like super on top of people, which is really nice, especially if you have been proctoring all day, and it can be pretty quiet. So if you have like the people in the room next door testing, then you hopefully will not be bothering them. Like they're not bothering us by asking us to be quiet. Right, the room can be a great option. Number 2 is rhythm play-alongs. If you're not concerned about noise, that'll be my caveat. If you are not concerned about noise, rhythm play-alongs are a great, easy thing that the kids are into that you can also like not have to be super into. Just go to YouTube and whatever you're working on, type in, quarter rest play-along. Usually I'll pull up 2 or 3. And if I can find like varying levels of difficulty, that's great. Have them clap the rhythms. If they're struggling, you can go through and like pause each frame and look at them. Then have them do it again. Have them add instruments. You could do 2 instruments and then they swap instruments and do it again. You can and then you can play a different video. Like you can make this last a long time, or you can do like boom whacker videos. Those are some of my favorites, because if you do a boom whacker video, you do it, and then they switch boom whackers with somebody else, and you can do it, 4 or 5 times, so that way they can try like all the different notes, and it'll take up a long time. So those are fabulous. Body percussion, those are great too. Next up is color by note. This is what we were doing today with my 2nd graders. We did, because they had a concert, and I was like, it was like concert last week, and then next week spring break. I was like, we're not doing anything new. So we're doing a color by note. This is my spring solfege color by note. This is the So Me set. So they're just coloring the eggs, and I tell them do this side first, and then the challenge mode on the back. It's not actually harder, but this is like really clear, and this is a little more complicated. What I like about this is that then I can grade this side, and it's really easy to grade because I'm just like, oh, pink, purple, yellow, whatever. And they think they're coloring, but I'm getting that grade in, and then I do hand it back after that. So that's lovely. I also have some rhythm ones. These ocean animal ones are the ones that I personally come back to all of the time. Use them a lot. I need to make some new sets. I haven't made any new sets of these in a while. So if you have suggestions for like what you might like to see, let me know down below in the comments, because I would love to do some new sets, because I do rely very heavily on these. And so, after a while you want to switch it up. But that's a really good thing, because that can be quiet, especially if you print them 2-sided. It'll take them a while. And then you have the added bonus of like, yes, it is academic. Like I am, checking them. And sometimes I just have them come show it to me, especially with these rhythms. They just come show it to me, and I'll write down like if they got it right or not. And so that can be good. So color by notes, fabulous. Write the rooms, great. Rhythm play along. Any centers games would be great. Just have them, hey, we're having a game day. Here's 3 games, here's 4 games, and we're going to rotate, and there's the end. And you can pull out ones you've been using all year, and you don't have to worry about it. Number 5 does kind of go off of these. And number 5 is print a ton of activity sheets, because listen, even the years that I'm like, I don't need the color by notes, we're not going to use them this year. You think that, and then you get subs, and then you get testing, and then you get all these things, or field trips when oh my gosh, the worst. When you just walked in from a field trip and you have a class and you're at like level 1000 because field trips are exhausting, and then the class comes and you're like, I cannot function at all. This was me yesterday. I was like, please don't drop it. It's so hard. Like after testing, when kids or sometimes the kids are really tired after testing, they need something that's just easy. Like sometimes they just can't. Subs, sometimes you randomly have to go to the teacher's classrooms. Like end of the year is crazy town. These are great. I print them out every single year, and I use them every single year. Even the years that I'm like, I don't need these, I use them every single year. I just print them. We have a print shop at our district, so we can like upload files, and they print them and they send them to the school. It takes like 2 weeks, but it's always worth it. And then if you don't, then just, print off a whole bunch of each one, and then you're good. Number 6 is a very different, so the last 3 are, last 2.5 are very different. So number 6 is start making a list for next year. This could be a list of things that you need to purchase, things you want to remember, things that you maybe didn't get to. So if there's a lesson or a book or a game you didn't get to do this year, start making a list of things you want to do next year, things you might want to try next year. Because listen, your girl is not working over the summer. So I need to write those things down now so that way when I get back in August, well, when I get back in July, because, you know, we get out early, we start early. When I get back in July, I will pull that list out and then I can kind of like remember what I was thinking at the end of the year. But if I'm not making any list, then I will forget everything. I will forget what I need to buy. I'll forget what I wanted to do. I'll forget all of those things. So just make, you know, lists of things that you're like, oh, I wanted to do that thing and we didn't do it. Or, hey, this would be a good concert idea. Y'all, the concerts, you know, things like that can be really helpful to just start making a list. Stick it in your drawer. Doesn't have to be difficult. Just start making lists. Number 7 is near and dear to my heart. Enjoy every day. Don't wait until the summer to have fun. Do not wait to enjoy yourself until the summer, because listen, even though my brain is like, oh my gosh, I have so much to teach and only 6 rotations to do it, that's also a lot of days. And so having been there, done that, if you spend every day thinking about how long it is until summer comes, you're gonna be miserable. Versus if you're like, I'm just gonna enjoy today as much as I can, you're gonna have a much better attitude and you're going to enjoy it more because you're trying to enjoy it. So go ahead and just try and enjoy yourself, because it's gonna be a much better situation than if you don't. I don't even put countdowns in my room because it's like focusing on summer. Like, don't just live for summer. Enjoy what we can. Now, do we always enjoy our classes? No, absolutely not. But you can still enjoy pieces of things, and you know, sing with your kids, play the games with your kids. Enjoy. You can have a good time. Try not to be, you know, till the end of the year. So that is the 7 things that you should be doing. Although I do have a bonus. So far we've got count the rotations, finish all your big concepts, get some grades in, plan your testing activities, print a bunch of activity sheets, make a list for next year, enjoy every day. And my bonus for people who are moving schools, start packing now. Because as we said, it's going to be busy. You don't want to be like stressing yourself out the last week of school. Go ahead and start packing your boxes now. When I moved from the school where I was to the school where I am now, I started like right after spring break. Actually, what happened is we had a fire, and so we had to be out of our building for like 2 weeks, which was the absolute worst. Oh my gosh. We would gather in the gym because it was a separate building. We'd get whoever was coming, which was hardly anybody, get them on buses, bus them down to a different school, and then we would have school with like 10 classes in the gym and like 10 classes in the cafeteria, and it was so loud and the absolute worst. It was one of the low points of my life. It was really awful. So when we got back, they had cleaned all the rooms because there was soot everywhere. So they cleaned every inch of everything. They picked everything up, wiped everything down, which also meant that things were not where I left them because they picked everything up and cleaned every single item. So I was like, well, do I put things back where they go, or do I just pack up? And I decided the second was the better idea, and it was the better idea. So at first I just would do like a box a week. Just, you know, start getting a couple things. And then as we got closer, you know, do 2 boxes or 3 boxes. And especially if you've been there for a while, I was shocked by how much stuff I had. And especially if you've been there for a while, trying to like figure out what's yours and what's not yours, and like, you know, sorting through every single book for which books are mine and which books belong here. And, you know, like that kind of stuff, it takes a minute. So my bonus number 8 is, if you are moving schools, just go ahead and start packing. Don't be obvious about it, but go ahead and start packing. Okay. Or at least start organizing what's mine and what's not. because it's a lot longer than you think. So I would love to know what you would add it to this list of things to do now to prep for the end of the year. I didn't add cleaning in there, but cleaning is great. So, you know, just let me know those down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one when we're even closer to summer.